load up some Spotify. And yeah, it feels really, feels good to be back. And I'm pretty excited to do what we're doing today. All right, so we've got the chat room up here. So what are we going to do today? Well, if you were on the last stream, we built this thing called What's My IP? And this is a Blazor app. Oops, it's loading up over here. It's a Blazor app, and what it does is it grabs your IP address. So we had it go out, make a call, grab the IP address, then we run it against the MaxMind GeoIP database so that we could find out that that IP address is located, like in this case, Hillsboro, Oregon, which is pretty close to me. And then we took that information and we drew up a little Google map here. So as far as our toolkit goes, not really a big, huge toolkit yet, but I want to add on to it today. So here we have, you know, the IP address, whatever, as you come to the page. So it serves as a good what's my IP address. One of the things that I thought would be really cool is to add some weather stuff. Now I just got my pilot's license and drone pilot, UAS. And part of that is you have to read METARs, is what they're called. METARs are weather reports that are issued every 55 minutes from larger airports. Like in our case, it'll be Hillsboro Airport. Every 55 minutes, they send out this string of text, and we will look up one right now. So I can show you what I'm talking about. Here we go. So we can go to the Aviation Weather Center. What we're building today is we're not inventing something new. There's METAR decoders all over the place, but I thought it'd be something fun that we could do. So KHIO is my airport, and there's the METAR for my closest airport. So if I'm going to go out and fly my drone, I want to know what the weather's like. I can load up a weather app, or I can check METARs here and basically decode this. I had to decode these things for part of the test. And so I know basically what these fields are. I want to take these fields and put them onto our Blazor app. Maybe we'll make things a little prettier, depending on how much time we have. I know that we can go out and grab a METAR and put it on this app, but I would like to kind of format it a little bit and make it cool. So right here, you can see that this is just a string of text. So we have KHIO, which is the Portland Hillsboro Airport. Then next we have 09, which means it's the 9th day of the month. They don't show the month in a METAR because they just kind of assume it's this month. So it's the 9th day, 1753 Zulu time. So that's Greenwich Mean Time. Same thing. Zulu time. The next is wind, which we have wind 0000, which means pretty much no wind. But if there were some wind, it would say the direction it's coming from, like it would say 180, and it would say 15 knots. Now the next one is visibility. So visibility today is 10 statute miles, according to this. And then we've got the weather, which is overcast 15. So there's some clouds at 15,000 feet. It's pretty overcast, like the entire sky right now. When I walked outside, is just covered. However, those clouds are so high that you can still see for 10 square miles. And then it goes on from here. You know, we've got the temperature and humidity. We've got A, which means automated system, 29.96. That's our barometer. And then we've got some remarks in the RMK. And the remarks are pretty free form. They kind of go all over the place. So what we're going to do is we're going to take this string of information and put it on our webpage. And we're going to try to make some cool weather data out of it. I hope this is going to be interesting and fun. I'm guessing it will be, but let's jump right in. So we have reviewed what and I just closed that window. Where is it? There we go. Okay, so we've just reviewed what we did last time. On the last stream, 2 weeks ago, we built this What's My IP? You're located in, blah, blah, blah. So now we're going to create another page. So we'll go here to Pages, Add, and I realize this is kind of behind the chat window. Let's do a razor page. I actually forgot how to build a razor page already. It's been a long time. I'm still kind of a beginner to Blazor, but let's add a razor page. And we're going to make this empty. We don't need any entity framework stuff with this today, though we should jump into that. At some point, we should build something that uses entity framework just for fun. So here we have an empty razor page. We're going to call this METAR, or we'll call it weather. That, I think, makes it a little bit more descriptive. So now we have weather.html or .cshtml, and this is essentially our page. Now, if we go back to our index razor page, remember that we have all kinds of stuff like a page title. We'll drop that in there. And this one, we'll specify the page URL also. We don't necessarily need a model for this right now. So put that up. Then we will go. And yeah, maybe I should make this. Now that I see that model, I realize that I did it wrong. So we're going to delete it. We want to make this an actual razor page. So it'll essentially be a razor component. And we're going to call it weather. There we go. This is what we actually want. So if we do /weather, this should bring up this weather page. I'll close that window. This thing keeps wanting to go to that second monitor. Sorry, there's nothing here. So I'm going to have to add in that page here. We can just make it lowercase. Drag it over. Weather. Okay, and this will be our weather component. Now we want to add this into the menu so that we can easily jump in there. I believe it's in layout. It's in here somewhere. We'll find it. Index.razor, weather.razor. I think it might be shared. Yeah, that's right. Nav menu. Okay, so for our nav menu, all we have right now is home. So let's drop in weather. For href, we'll do /weather. And we'll put in weather. Now we should be able to quickly jump to that page. There we go. We should probably find another icon for it. And I bet some other folks might know, but I actually don't know where that icon comes from. Oh, it's these, I don't remember the name of the icon. Let's just see if there's a weather icon. There might be. There might be. Nope. Oh, yikes. All right. Where do we get these from? Are these from... These might be from Bootstrap. I'm just going to do a quick search for this name to try to figure out where these icons come from. Unless someone wants to jump in the chat who knows the answer to this very basic question that I have here, which is where these icons come from. Microsoft Edge. Search the web. Ignore all the politics on that home page. Iconify. That's right. It looks like there's a little weather icon here that we might be able to use. Ooh, you can customize it. Now I think if I have Iconify included in here, I should be able to just drop this in. Class. But I don't really remember. It's been a long time since I've used these things. Visual Studio, there you go. Perhaps I should just leave this open while I'm editing things, right? So it looks like I don't have that. But I did see a way that I can include it. Span class Iconify. That might be what I've done wrong here. It's like a super Monday for me. See if I have Iconify. Negative. So let's include it. Let's just include it in there. We'll just include Iconify. We'll mix them up for now. Probably standardize this at some point. And I'm going to put this in main layout, I believe, is probably the best place because we have menu, main layout. Where are all of those base level files? There we go. Loading, loading, loading. Sure is taking a while to load, isn't it? We've got a couple of warnings here, but nothing big. Why is this taking so long to load all of a sudden? That's interesting. Well, there's our little icon, our little weather icon. Kind of sucks because it's not using these same icons. Let's just dig a little bit here really quick. Instead of using Iconify, let's go into the nav menu again. Switching that back to the home. So this is what's cool about streams that you don't plan very well. You can go off on little tangents. Hopefully, if I go off on a tangent that doesn't make sense, folks will jump in. I'm going to see where this refers to. I'm just going to do a search. Find all. Bootstrap min CSS. So that open iconic bootstrap. In here, it looks like we have all of these different ones, but I don't think we have like a comprehensive listing of icons. All kinds of calls coming in today. So, open iconic. We're back here again. Now, these look like a different set of icons. These are probably what I'm looking for. So what could we use to symbolize weather? I mean, if I see a cloud or something, that's pretty obvious. Bulb, bug, cart, clipboard. Because I believe these should be included in here. Yeah, I don't see anything great that really means weather. So instead of that, flag, I mean wind, it's kind of weathery, kind of weather-like. So maybe I'll just do, I saw something that kind of looked neat in here. Grid 2 up. Probably going to need that SVG. So grid -2 up. If this doesn't work, I'm just going to leave the home on there. It's not really that important. Grid 2 up. It auto completes. So I'm assuming that's going to work. And I forgot to push play again. There we go. That's good enough, right? So now we've got our weather page. I'm going to do a quick tech check really quick. And yes, we are moving. Just going to make sure. Now I should be putting these streams all over the place today. So if you're watching this, looks like if you're watching this on LinkedIn, you're probably not, because the LinkedIn one is not working. What a surprise. Event canceled, waiting for broadcast. Well, that sucks. No LinkedIn stuff today. Awesome. Okay, and we are live on YouTube with the wrong titles. So we will get that figured out. So if you're watching this on YouTube, or you're watching this on Twitter or something like that, follow us on Twitch. So we're going to be focusing a lot on Twitch. So we're at twitch.tv/pluralsight_live. And that's where we're going to be doing a lot of our streaming. So I do streaming every Tuesday at this time, and David Neal does it on Thursday at this time. He's building an Electron app that's a teleprompter. It's really exciting. It's really cool. So be sure to follow us here on Twitch, where most of our streams are going to be. So let's jump right into this weather thing real quick. Now, what I'm going to do is get METAR data, and I'm going to get it from an API, which I have notes somewhere here. CheckWX.com. This is a place where you can get METAR reports. So if I do KHIO, just my local airport, boom, there's my METAR. It looks like I can even get a previous one, which is kind of cool. But there's the METAR that we're going to get. We're going to make a GET request. We're going to pull that back, and then we're going to try to figure out how to break it down and do something cool with it. So this is what I'm using. I'm using a free account because I'm just a regular person goofing around. If I need something professionally, this would probably be a good place to do it. So let's just jump right in our weather app into the code and start making this happen. So I'm going to do a P here. Say METAR equals, I'll say METAR text. Then we're going to add a property here of string. We're going to call that METAR text. Now, if we want to go in here to index, close out these other ones since we do not need them now. Go to index here. We have basically what's a constructor. I mean, it's essentially a constructor for a Razor page. So this onInitialized async will be called as the page is initialized. So we can go here and say METAR text equals hi for now. Go to the weather page. There's our METAR text. Sort of, kind of. But of course, what we want to do is we want to make a call out. We're going to use HTTP client and make a call out to that service and get that METAR text. So I'm going to say private async task get METAR data, we'll call it. And we may pass a string in here. Airport. Just so that we can get specific airports when we need it. So let's say using, we're going to create a client. HTTP client. And I've got some code here that I'll just copy so you don't have to watch me type it all out. This is our HTTP request. We're going to send a GET to api.checkwx.com/METAR plus our airport. So we'll hard code an airport in, but then we're going to take the airport in from the Razor page. And we need to create, let's see, I created a little checkwx here. So var, we'll just call this wx info is new this guy. Maybe we can do checkwx now. There we go. Create a new checkwx. And then we can say message headers add. We're going to add a new header, x API key, wx info dot API key. Okay, so I've stored this API key just in a POCO here that we can pull out, and that's really the only header that we need to add is the API key so that we authenticate to the service. And it should, I did this, oh gosh, a week ago, and it worked. So we're gonna do it again. And we'll read that string as async. So again, I'm just gonna copy this in so you don't have to see me type it. Now this string here should be, and we can actually make our METAR text here be that string for now. And it will come across as JSON, however, we'll deal with that. We'll cross that bridge when we get there. So get METAR data for KHIO. Which is my closest towered airport that gives out METARs. All right. Yeah, I'll await it. Good idea. Thanks, Visual Studio. Okay, and we'll press play. Let's see what we get. There's our METAR data. And again, we kind of it kind of looks like, it looks the same as it did on that website. Pulling across, we've got results 1. So one thing that's kind of interesting is you can stack multiple airports. So I can say, what about KPDX, which is our big airport in Portland? That's going to give us 2 results. I don't know if I'm going to put in that functionality today. I think we might just stick with 1. However, that is kind of a cool feature that we should keep in mind. You may want to get, like if you live between 2 big airports that give out METARs, you might want right in the middle. So we know that we've got that data here. Let's, using system text JSON. Let's put that JSON into an object. Actually, we'll go down here. We'll say a class, let's call it WX result, or yeah, WX result sounds good. Now, if we look at this string that came across, it has a data point here. I'll see, press it again. Now, if we look at this, we have a data field and a string array in there. So what we should do is just create a class for this data field for now. We're not too worried about results. So we'll say public string. No, Adobe, I'm not updating today. Thanks, though. Thanks, pal. Say get set. And now we can just take that JSON and drop it into an object. So basically, we're just going to have a string of METAR text. Then we're going to take that string. What I think we should do is take that string, break it into pieces, and put that into a plain old class object. And then use that to kind of parse the data and do different things with it. So let's do that. Let's say our METAR. No thanks, pal. Turn off all notifications. Our METAR JSON serializer. Deserialize a WX result with our string. And these variable names are all silly that I'm making here. But we're just doing this for fun. Right? We're just basically building this Blazor app that has a bunch of cool little tools on it that you can find anywhere else, but we're doing it so that we can learn more about Blazor and see what it's capable of. Now, we're dropping this thing in, and let's see what it looks like. Let's do a little debugging here. Go to weather. Bang. Okay. So our string, which we saw before, looks like this. It has data, blah, 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 results. Now let's see what our METAR looks like. This object has a string right there. In the index of 0, just has that plain METAR string, which is what I want, because that's what I'm going to take and break into pieces and everything else. However, if I want to display it, which actually I might, just display the METAR and then the stuff below, that's pretty easy, because I can just say our METAR data 0 to string, just to be sure. To string isn't necessarily needed, but yeah, possible null reference. We'll handle that here in a second. I just want to see if this works. Does not. And that's not awaitable. So we've awaited this one. Okay. String. Maybe that was my problem. There we go. So there's our METAR string. And I kind of explained what these fields were earlier. We're going to take these fields, and some of these fields have a lot of different things, like especially remarks. Remarks can be all over the place. But some of these have a lot of different things that we need to look for and enumerate as a part of our system here. So what we can do is there's probably, well, I shouldn't say probably, there is a METAR guide for decoding METARs guide. How do you decode a METAR? Here we go. METAR usually looks something like this. Let's chop the above METAR into its component parts. That's exactly what we want to do. And by the way, this Pilot Institute, this is one of the things. So when I studied for my test, at first I just grabbed a book. So I bought a book. I don't think I have it nearby. But anyway, I bought a book. I bought this practice book also. And I self-studied like crazy through it. And then like the week before I took my test, or a few days before I took my test, I discovered this Pilot Institute. And so I jumped in. I haven't taken the whole course, but it is a pretty awesome course. It's like 12 hours of coursework here. That's pretty cool. But anyway. See, if we were to write this METAR in plain English, which is kind of what we're doing, we're putting it on a web page in plain English, right? It'd say the weather of Boston, 1730 Zulu time on the 8th of the month, blah, 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 blah. This is kind of what we want to do. I don't think we want to make a paragraph like this. I think we should break it out into fields, but let's do that. So the ICAO designator. I didn't actually know that was called an ICAO designator. This one we don't want to enumerate because there's a lot of airports. There's no reason that we should enumerate this and look for it and stuff like that. I think that would be silly. That would take the entire stream just to get that into a database or an enum. But we can just display the code. So what did they call that? They called that ICAO designator. So what I'll do is I'll create a class called METAR. Let's do a plain old class object here. And we'll just start stuffing this METAR. We'll just start stuffing this data into this class as we use it. ICAO designator. So we're going to say string ICAO. I don't like ICAO, I like airport code. So I'm going to say airport code. That's what we're going to call that. So that first string is going to be our airport code. Let's jump back in here. Yeah, we're not putting all those in. Next one is date and time. So that's pretty self-explanatory. Now this is also going to be a string for now. Oh, airport name. That would be helpful. Zulu date time, we'll call that. And we'll make it an actual date time type, but for now, these are all strings because we're just reading a giant long string. What's our next one? Automated observation. So that is here, which you see sometimes you don't. I think I'm going to grab our METAR so that we know what to expect. And I think we are going to have to do a little bit of playing around. Request METAR data. We're going to say KHIO. And I will drop this into a comment somewhere in here. Let's see. That's get my IP weather. This looks like a good enough place to just drop that in there. So this one goes straight to wind. Ours goes straight to wind, even though this says auto. So maybe different ones. Let's try KBWI. Maybe different airports have that designator in it. KWI. No, they go straight to wind there too. So, okay. Well, we're just going to go straight to wind. So our next one. So here's another thing that I like to do sometimes when I'm breaking up data like this. Is we'll put this up at the top. And then we'll just put these fields in just so we kind of know what they need to look like, right? So this one's going to be KHIO. That's our airport code. It's a string, pretty simple. Our date and time is going to look like this. And the next one we're going to call wind speed. Come on. This is why I turn autocomplete off a lot of times. Sometimes it just gets away from me. Even though it's wind speed and direction, I'm just calling it wind speed for now. Our next one's going to be visibility. So we're going to say prop, string, visibility. And this one says 10 statute miles. Cloud conditions is the next one. So automated observation, wind information, visibility. Next one says precipitation, which we do not have any precipitation. So precipitation is not in here. So I might have to find an airport with precipitation and see. But we'll put in precipitation and then we'll just, if it's blank, we'll say none. Precipitation. Now this will look like something like this for drizzle. So prop, string, that's why METAR makes it a little, the structure is a little bit difficult because sometimes there's fields that are inserted and not inserted. So if you think about things like in columns, it's pretty flexible. So we may have to do some string checking on that. Say, you know, if this is numbers, we'll do this, etc. Next one is cloud cover. We do have cloud cover here because it's pretty cloudy day in Oregon. And just to check the chat here, see if anybody's in chat. Nope. Nobody in chat today. Awesome. So here's our cloud cover. Today's cloud cover, overcast. So I think for today, so that the stream doesn't last like all day long, I think I'm going to split it in two. What we're going to do is we're going to pull this METAR data. We're going to put all the fields in. And then next week, or maybe even later this week, depending on how it goes, probably next week, we will go through and enumerate those things, and we'll make it flashier. We'll make it a little bit more readable and nice. But for now, we'll get this part of it taken care of. Now the next part. Temperature and dew point. So that looks good. That looks like that's the order that we have ours in. Prop. String. We're just going to call this temp dew point. This is in Celsius. Temperature and dew point. Our temperature and dew point today is 1915. I don't know what 19 degrees Celsius is, but it's actually a fairly moderate day today. So I know you multiply Celsius times 9 divided by 5. I don't remember. But it's pretty mild today. We had a wild heat wave in Oregon that was not fun. Next is our altimeter here. So the altimeter is basically your pressure. So sea level is 29.92 Hg. So it's anything above that. So we're going to put altimeter setting here. Our altimeter is 29.96. Altimeter would help if I spelled it properly. We'll call that altimeter. Okay, then I think it's just remarks after that, right? Yep, RMK, remarks. Now we're going to put in the RMK just means remarks. We're going to put that in because if that exists, that means we have remarks. So it's almost like a bool, except we're not going to make it a bool, but we'll just put remarks, check for these. Screen remark indicator get set, and then we will make, we'll say remark indicator, and then text for remarks, which we're going to have to break those down even further. So we're going to say public string remarks get set. Now we've got a pretty healthy POCO here, class object. This METAR has quite a few fields here. So we're going to take that, we're going to split the string and drop it in here. So to think about how to do that, I'm thinking we create, one up here. We create a METAR object, or actually we'll create a new METAR object here, and then add on to. I have to think about the design of this a little bit, because we're going to have to definitely create a method. We could actually send out a new object. We'll see. Void decode METAR with a string of course, METAR. Now, in decode METAR, split and analyze the string. Definitely going to need to do that. Where we store this is is kind of a different one. So let's still just do the METAR text here. And then up here, we'll do some different stuff. We'll call this our METAR. And we'll create a new one. So we'll say our METAR. Let's separate this a little bit from get METAR data. Decode METAR. Or should we? I don't know if we should separate it. This one's kind of a puzzler here. I mean, it does kind of make sense. Oh, we already did our METAR, didn't we? So we're going to name this our METAR string. Our METAR string, data to string. And our METAR text is what we're going to pass into decode METAR. And then we're going to create a new METAR with that information. I think this is how I want to do it. Just kind of do everything and get METAR data here. Since it's a async task, probably not overloading it too bad, but it's already getting a little big, right? So let's see, decode METAR with that METAR text. So we're going to say decode METAR with METAR text. And then maybe in here we can do this. I don't know about this one. Let me test something here really quick. And this is one of those things where I'm just kind of brainstorming here how I want to put this together. See how well this works. Oh, that's right. Did I stop it somewhere in here? I don't know. Let me check and make sure I'm not debugging. Nope. Okay. So load it up. Let's go. Weather seems to be hanging. That's right. That's what I figured. That's probably not going to work. String means our text. All right. Yeah. Public string. Oops. So we'll just create this one when we instantiate the class, and then I think that'll work. Yeah, I think that'll work. It's not the best, not 100% in love with it, might refactor it later, but so we don't need to do this now. There's not really any good reason to replace that object. All right. So split and analyze the string is the first part of this. Now here is definitely where we want to drop this METAR string. Because in here in decode METAR is where we're going to just split this thing apart and try to figure out what's what. And we'll say var METAR data. We're going to create a string array here. Is going to be METAR.split by spaces. Now this is going to be kind of a variable length array, so it's going to be a little tricky, but we do know certain things like METAR data 0 and before we get too far here, let's say if our METAR string not null, then we're going to do all this stuff. Because we want to make sure we have something out of that string, right? If somebody just puts in ABCD, it's going to come back with nothing, so we don't want it to break and fall on its face and splatter all over itself. So now we know our airport code should be at index 0. Let's check and see that it is. And it is. So let's make sure, and we'll try a different airport. KPDX. And we'll see that we're now KPDX, and we've got a different METAR for KPDX. Cool. Should probably do a little like a button on click here, but we're just going to hard code it for now, and then we'll make an input field for people. So we're just going to do this for KHIO for now. And we're just going to start splitting up this stuff. Our METAR, remember the next one was Zulu date and time. So we want this to be METAR data 1. And I don't know why my screen keeps weirding out today. Never seen it do that before. Our METAR wind speed is going to be METAR data 2. Visibility. And so on and so forth. 3, this is probably killing y'all to watch this typing, but so we have our wind speed, cloud condition would be the next one. Cloud cover. METAR data 4. So we have visibility, cloud cover, temp dew point, METAR data 5. altimeter is 6. See, if you're following along this whole time, you'd be able to read METARs as well. It's your first step towards a pilot's license. They're really not as difficult as you might think. Remark indicator is METAR data 7. All right. Oh, and then we need the remarks themselves. METAR remarks. Perfect. All right. Making a message here. Jump onto YouTube and change that description really quick here because we have the wrong description going on YouTube. Pause it. And edit that title. Just take this right out of Restream here really quick. There we go. That should be a little less confusing, hopefully. Back here really quick. Okay, perfect. And thank you, those of you I see watching on YouTube. Thank you very much for watching that. I got that little message, so I had to jump out and fix that really quick. All right, let's jump back in. So what we have here is pretty simple. We have our little WX result class. Then we're splitting up this METAR data, splitting the string by spaces, dumping it into all of these different categories here. So let's come up here and just dump them onto our page. So we have airport code. And all I'm going to do here is like this, so we don't have to type a whole bunch of wacky stuff, right? And did I actually put in the remarks? Yeah, I did. Okay, cool. So just going to put a little closing P on all of these. Pretty cool, right? My apologies for the hammering. We've got lots of stuff going on outside still. And now for each of these, I'll put in a label. Date, time. This is going to look so cool when we're done. Wind, speed, direction. Visibility. Cloud cover. Some of this stuff, I mean, this is obviously a weather report, pretty specific to pilots, but still kind of cool. We may grab yet another weather API that says, like that, the IP lookup where it says Hillsboro, Oregon. We might do a thing where it just pings out and says, what's the weather in Hillsboro, Oregon? We'll slap that up there too. Our temp and dew point in Celsius. say remarks, question mark. And yeah, let's change that into a Boolean. After we're done with this, let's just press play, see where we get. So when we call this decode METAR from here, this should split this string, put all those things in there, and display them up on the screen like magic. And there it is. This is why I love Blazor. Data binding is so easy and fun and cool. This is not the way you would want to do data binding necessarily in a production application. You will probably want to do a little more fixing on that, but yeah, so we have our airport code, we have our date and time, wind speed and direction, 000, visibility of 10 statute miles, etc., etc., etc. So what I'm going to do is say if we have RMK, then remarks is true, display remarks. So remark indicator, we'll say if tar data 7, we could do is equal to, but I'll probably just do the length. If the length's greater than 0, then we have an RMK there. If there's anything in there, it's going to be RMK, and so remarks are going to be true. So we'll say public bool has remarks. I don't know why I lowercase that other one. We're going to set it to false for now. But if this, then we're going to say has remarks is true. Cool. So if we have remarks, then we'll display them. So instead of this, we'll do something a little different here. And I don't even remember how we drop in this code. Go up here. I think it is, yeah. Okay, I just had to make sure here. If we have remarks, let's drop them in there. Let's run it. Let's run it. Here, we're located in Hillsboro, Oregon. IP address is this. Please don't hack me. Okay, perfect. So now we've got our METAR string here, and then we've got it split and broken up into all of these. So let's try to format it a little bit. We're a little bit over time for the stream, but that's all right. If people want to stick around and hang out, let's do a little formatting here. So this is KHIO. Let's see. Most of our formatting will be done up here. Let's put strong around each of these just to kind of delineate them a little bit. Copy, paste, copy, paste. I mean, this could actually be a table. I mean, it wouldn't be bad if this were a table, right? But for now, we'll do this. Oh, almost lost my chat there. Okay, we'll go to weather. There we go. That looks a little bit better, at least. Now let's do something like, I don't know, let's remove this date and time and split it up. Let's see. We could do the knots. We do string, substring. Yeah, let's do that. Let's substring it. So decode and METAR basically has done its job by pulling out, we break the string up and pull it out, but how do we want to format it is probably a good place to, yeah, let's just format it in here. I mean, we're decoding a METAR. That's the name of the function. So get date time. So we'll do a little decoding in here as we start. So our Zulu date time is not going to be strong. We're going to do this one a little bit different. We're going to say var date, or var METAR date, just to, so we avoid that collision. It's going to be now it always has a Z on the end of it, right? Always, always, always has a Z on it. So chart out of length -1. That's the first thing we're going to do to METAR date. Because it always, always, always has a string or Z on it, which means Zulu time. So now let's see if we should have removed the Z now. Oh, it's only showing the Z. That's right. So that is the last character of the string. And start it at 0 and end it with. Perfect. So now we've got it trimmed. We've got the date here. Now this is Zulu time. Not military time, but it's structured similarly. And then the first one is 9 because today's the 9th. So we gotta pull that 9 out of there. And it always has that leading digit, so we know it's a 2-digit number. So what we're going to do is create some other fields to display up there. So we're going to say var day of month. We might add this to our METAR object. Or we could just add it up here. For now, we're going to say public string day of month. We'll just put a getter and setter on it. And then down here, we're going to say day of month equals, take this METAR date, we're going to substring that, we're going to say 0, comma 2. Then we can display the day of the month as one of our fields. Instead of date time, I think we're just gonna split it up a little bit. Now let's see if our day of the month works. Da-da-da-da, 9. Now we could get this from date. We could get this from a bunch of different, but we want to say the day of the month that's in the METAR. Because this could be a good indicator. Let's say you go and look at the METAR and you're like, oh, it's the 15th. why does the day of the month say the 12th? Well, maybe that service failed. So it's a good thing to do. So we're going to do day of the month here, and then we're going to take the time, and so we're going to separate the time. So instead of Zulu date time, we're going to blow that out of there. We're going to say day of the month, time, and we're just going to say Zulu time. That's what we'll name that. We'll add another property here. And my capitalization today is out of control. Day of month. Change it up here. And do a little best practices work. Zulu time. Now, how do we come up with Zulu time? So we've got that as a string getting set. Well, and we need to change this. So we'll just do another, for Zulu time, we'll do another METAR date, substring, 3 and 7. I don't know. I think we'll find out. It's one way to find out. Nope. Okay, it broke. Because I didn't do the length right somewhere. I think it's out of bounds. Yeah, it should be 3.7. Let's debug it. Let's debug it and find out. Bang. Where are we at here? So day of the month, METAR date. Should be 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, I guess it would be 6. Got my indexing all mixed up. Still, apparently. A bunch of warnings. What is the warning that's coming up in here? Oh, I just Control-Shift-I. I forgot my developer tools shortcut, but it's the same as Chrome. So let's see what's showing up on the console here. Tracking prevention. That's fine. Don't care about any of that. WebSocket connection failed. Parameter length. Line 69. Line 50. Okay. So it's clearly my substring is not working here. Oh, I can get that. I can get the length. Let's try to step through this. All right. That's what I'm looking for. KHIO. $1.length. And we're doing substring of everything except that. So it's 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That is where my problem is. I need to go from 2 to 5. because we have shortened this thing quite a bit. Oh, yeah, continue. Continue until you break, bud. Called it. All right. Exception index must length of location in the string. Parameter length. So I am just going off of METAR date. So I'll figure it out. Where are we at here? Reload. Yeah, METAR date here at the day of the month is 091. So I'm just taking those 2, 0 to 2. Should be 2, 3, 4, 5. Should be. Let's continue. Let's see what happens. It blows apart. Date length. I honestly don't see why the Zulu time one isn't working. Let's just try substringing the entire thing really quick. And see. Because I don't see what's breaking me. Okay, if I substring the entire thing, it's fine. Now we have changed, we've altered, we've got METAR date here and we've altered this. We've taken the Z off because the Z is always present and the Z just means Zulu time. So we're ripping that off of there. Then for the day of the month, we're doing a substring of 0 and 2. Why can we not go substring even 1? I'm clearly doing substring wrong. I just don't know exactly how. Might have to do some Googling. So I can do this. Let's see. What am I doing wrong? 0, 12, 2, 12. I think I can get everything. Let me try something here really quick. Let's try this. Da-da, da-da. This should stop at my point. Okay. This is what our METAR date looks like right here. So we view it as text. How about everything after 2? Should be able to do it that way. So that's essentially what I'm trying to do. So everything after 2. For our Zulu time. There we go. That's, I don't know what. I got so confused there. So here, instead of that Zulu time, we have now the day of the month, which is the 9th. We've got the time, which is 1853, and we will put we'll put the Z back in there, but we'll make it a little more informative and say Zulu time. That makes our message a little more informative than just a Z character on the end of it. This one says, hey, we're 1853 Zulu time, which is the agreed upon time for all pilots all around the world of what time it is. Now, let's check something else here. Oh, I'm just making sure I don't have any silly messages. No chat messages. If you have any questions or comments, or you even want to heckle me, whatever, totally fine. Now, we do have remarks, so we put those in there. However, right now it just says RMK, which is not correct. So if has remarks, we need to bold this like we bolded the other ones. If we have remarks, let's drop them in there. Now, if you remember, this should be, oh, it is remarks. So our remark indicator is 7, but yeah, so that should be correct. Oh, no, it's because there's multiple. That's a little tricky. So we just ran into a tricky problem here because of that variable length of field, like remark A02, which is always in there, but we're, if we have remarks, which is 7, let's double check this really quick because I may be wrong. Let's jump into the debugger and see. So go here. 7 is a string. Oh no, 7 is altimeter. Totally messed up. Looks like I'm a little out of order here. Because METAR data 0, which is up at the top, is our airport code. Our time is 1, and that's the one that we've been going wild with. Wind speed is 2. Visibility is 3. Cloud cover is 4. Cloud data cover. Yeah, we have another cloud data that's in there that we need to account for. And I thought I did that. No, just cloud cover, which has 2 fields in this particular instance. So that's where things get tricky, is these multiple. So we've got 2 different cloud fields now, or we only had 1 before. So overcast 15. We may have more of these. So one trick I think we could do is we could say if it has a slash, then it must be our temp dew point. If not, keep stacking these in cloud. Let's do that. Because that additional field was added in since the first time that we pulled it. They added in that field because now there's 2 separate cloud layers. And so that made everything else off by 1. Not a big deal though. Because let's see, cloud cover, if METAR data 5 should be able to do contains this, right? If it contains this, it's now temp dew point. And I wonder if I'm going to have to do this all the way down the line. What if I have 10 remarks in there? So one thing I can do to test this is start hard coding METAR, right? Just instead of what we're passing in, which is a live, real, actual METAR, I can start just hard coding this. Let's do that. Really quick here. And we're going to say METAR equals this. So we're going to go back to that old METAR. Now, if it contains this, it's now temp dew point. So we'll put that in there. But I think we're going to have to find a way to intelligently iterate through this thing and check these fields and find out how many times it needs to shift each one. So that's going to be a little interesting. And the remarks are going to be the same way, but the remarks are at the end of the METAR. So that's not really that big of a deal. We just say, do we have more? Do we have more? Do we have more? We'll count the elements in the array and use that count to kind of keep track of where we're at. But for this one, it's kind of in the middle of it, and it can expand and contract, and we got to figure that out. Got to figure out how to do it. It's now temp dew point. Else, it's still clouds. Let's just see if we can say our cloud cover plus equals METAR data 5. So this might work. This should work. But then we're gonna have to figure out how to figure out the rest of them. But for now, let's just say and that should, why doesn't it do that? Oh, yeah. So let's look at our cloud cover really quick. Our METAR.cloud cover. Yeah, we'll just go with my cloud cover, overcast 15. Precipitation is null. That's right. If precipitation is not present, then that's going to mess us up too. Which we don't even have precipitation in here because we have no precipitation. So this is where things get tricky, and I knew this was going to be tricky, and that's why I decided to do this as a stream, because I knew this wasn't going to be a super straightforward, easy thing. However, let's work on it. So we're going to do, one of the things we're going to do here is our count, and that's going to be METAR data, whoops, length. I think we need to know the length of this. Like, there's no way around it. So if we get the smallest possible one or the long ones, we'll know that. So if METAR data 5, which could be 6, could be 5, could be 6 if we have some precipitation. So we'll start back at the very beginning here with some to-dos. To do, factor in precipitation. To do, factor in multiple cloud reports. To do, grab all remarks using length. to make sure that we get every remark, we're going to have to iterate through. So if we have 10 remarks on there, we need it to go 10 times and grab all of them. These are the things that we need to do. We need to factor in that precipitation. We need to factor in the cloud reports. Those are what's going to change our array. So let's find a METAR with precipitation to try out really quick, because I totally forgot to do precipitation. This stuff is all kind of junk until we do that. So let's go to weather.com. And we'll just take a quick look at the map of the, I guess today. Oh, radar is probably what I should have looked at, right? Radar. Now this is going to be Beaverton, Oregon. That's me. But we're just going to look all over for some precipitation. Looks like it could be raining in Bend. Is that what that indicates right there? What airports? It's not really in Bend though, right? So look at that. Pilot Butte Airport. Looks like it's just outside of the precipitation. Unless we go a little while ago. So let's check their METARs. Pilot Butte Airport. Let's see if they put out a METAR. And that looks like it's CPB 45. That's not going to have METAR data. If I had to guess. And their FAA identifier 80 OR5. That's strange. So no METAR found. So we'll keep looking. We'll find a big rainy airport. There's got to be some rain somewhere around right now. Down here in New Orleans area, Florida, Orlando, there we go. Which I think is ORD. I should know, I've flown into it plenty of times. No METAR for ORD, so it's KORD. There we go. Let's see, any precipitation data. Lakeland have an airport? Yeah, we'll insert it in there. How to read a METAR. Up here we had I thought we had some precipitation in here somewhere. Precipitation DZ, which means moderate drizzle. So cloud cover, let's see. Let's just try sample METARs. METAR examples. We'll find one with some drizzle or something on it. Manually generated, 103, blah, blah, blah. Snow, we have moderate snow in this one. But that's in the remarks. Which is usually where you find this kind of stuff, so. Thunderstorm. So I could be wrong about the positioning. Maybe they always add it in the remark. Here's a good diagram. Gotta love the diagram. Okay, auto is the modifier after the date and time. We're definitely going to keep this little page open here. This is a handy little page. So looks like modifier auto means it came from an automated source. That might be a field that we have to worry about. And that's number 4, or 5 in our case. So let's say here, number 5, and that's where we're looking for temp and dew point. So it's way off. Temp dew point's way over here on this METAR example. So if we compare this METAR here, KNBA, date and time, auto comes before wind speed if it's from an automated source. Then we've got wind speed, then we've got visibility, then we've got light rain and haze right after visibility. So we could say could be a rain indicator. I'm actually glad this thing's getting complicated like this, because we are certainly going to dive into this deeper, especially on our next stream. And that gives y'all a week to think about the solution to this also. Might be a really clever one. So, could be a rain indicator we'll put in here. And we'll just pull all this stuff out for now. And we'll mark all the fields that could be something else. So it could be a rain indicator or cloud cover for number 4. So I'll just put 4. Could be a rain indicator or cloud cover. What that looks like, they look different. So like RA, light rain and haze, it's going to RA space HZ is rain and haze. So that could be 2 fields, and then broken. So what we may have to do is look for, like right here where it's broken at 10,000 feet, we might have to look for certain things like, is it BKN? Is it whatever for the different clouds? Because there's several different cloud indicators, but it's an enumerated list. So we say BKN, I'll show you. METAR help. I need METAR help, thanks. METAR type, where is it? Winds. And there's another thing that I didn't even think about. G means gusts. So we could have, like this here shows 190. So that's the direction the wind's blowing, 190 degrees. And it's 20 knots. But since there's a G in there, that means there's gusts of 26 knots. So not only are the amount of fields in our METAR changing and flexible and dynamic, but some of the data within them is also, because I totally forgot about gusts. You know, as we look at this here, the 190 is the direction of wind in degrees. 20, the next 2 numbers, is the speed of the wind in knots. G26 represents wind gusts. In this case, gusts are 26 knots. Gusts will not always be on here. That's where it screws us up, because we didn't have gusts earlier. We didn't have any wind. So we'll have to make a note of that for sure. Wind speed. We may have gusts. So we have to account for that. Otherwise, that the K that we remove off the end, all that stuff. Okay, so now this is what I was looking for, is these qualifiers. So for precipitation, we could say, is it any of these? Because if it's any of these things, just do a string contains on that string and say, if it's any of these, then this must be a precipitation. I don't know why I'm having such a hard time saying that. A precipitation indicator. If it's any of these things, if it's an IC or an SG or blah, 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 then it's a precipitation indicator. So we'll put that over in precipitation. If it's not, if it's haze, we would probably take the obscurations also in there since they're the same. And if it's not, if it looks like something else, then it must be cloud cover. And if it's neither of those things, I don't know what to do with it. But got a pretty good way forward here. So let's look at our variable stuff here. Day of the month in Zulu time, all this stuff is good. We're golden here. Then it starts to get into wind speed and direction. We may have gusts. Variable data. So if we have gusts, it's going to add in there. It's going to change things. It's going to break everything apart. Visibility. Let's see how much visibility. I don't think visibility changes. I think it's 2 digits and then SM for statute miles. So visibility, 6 SM simply means 6 statute miles. So one thing we'll have to do with this is if it's 10 statute miles, it's going to have 2 digits and an SM. So we just need to remove the SM from it and focus on the number part, I think is the best way to approach visibility. SH means showers, RA means rain, present rain. So we're going to have to check for all of these. I'm going to copy this. So that I know where to get those. Our METAR cloud could be a rain indicator or a cloud cover. Number 5. 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 could be temp and viewpoint. If all of these are the same. So now I'm starting to rethink the whole design here. And I'll tell you why. Like the whole approach is, we've got this flexibility. I think what my approach is going to be when I jump back on this next week, and we're going to jump back on this. Like I said, I'll have a week to think about it. You all that are watching will have the week to think about it. Those of you who are watching this stream after the fact will be able to look at it and send me some suggestions. What I'm thinking of doing is going to each of these fields, except for the ones that we know are solid, right? So we know that these ones are solid. We know this one's a little weird. After this, it gets weird, right? We could have another field and then shift everything over. So what I think I'm going to do is look for patterns. So I'm going to iterate through these. We're going to take those first 4 or whatever's solid. We're going to take those. We're going to stuff them in the object. We're going to call it good. After that, I think we're just going to look for patterns. We're going to OVC. Is OVC in there? If so, then we know it's this. And we'll stuff it in here. So we'll create another, probably like another string array for cloud conditions and another string array for precipitation. But we'll look at it and say, oh, this is a precipitation based on these patterns. So we'll stuff it over here. This is cloud. We'll stuff it over here. And we'll break it apart and say, like, this is temp dew point. We can tell by the pattern of the text that this is temp and dew point. So we'll stuff it in temp and dew point. Then when we get to remarks, and same thing with like altimeter. We know this is altimeter. It's A followed by 4 numbers. And I think we just iterate through these last ones. And with the remarks, we're going to say RMK. Okay, we have remarks. Run to the end of it. Stuff all of those into a remarks string array or just a remarks string. That would probably actually be easier. We'll just auto append it into one long string. So that's what we're going to do the next time on my next stream on Tuesday of next week, because I'm way over today. That's what I'm going to do. I'm going to attack this problem a little differently. I was kind of thinking that this would be a little bit easier than it is since I dug into it. And I thought, well, I could just parse this array and then we'll make it look beautiful. And yeah, that didn't happen. So we went way over and we're still not done. Going to put this on GitHub for other people to look, but by the time we're done with this thing, this is going to be yet another cool tool, because it's going to show what this METAR data is, which should pop up and run. So just to recap, the set of tools we're working on are just a set of like silly tools that we're using, and we're just building them for educational purposes. So last week we built this, what's my IP? We find out my IP address, where are you located? You're located in Hillsboro, Oregon. That's great. Weather, we're saying, here's the METAR. And this comes from the Hillsboro Airport, which is the closest airport to me that gives out this METAR data. So we're saying, hey, let's grab this METAR. So far we've got some of these, but they're going to be different. So what we need to solve for is the location of this data in the string. And we need to kind of jump through that and wiggle our way around until we figure it out. Once we do, then I will take this stuff here and turn it into plain English. And we might do a lookup. So if somebody types in KHIO, we might say KHIO's Hillsboro Airport or whatever. We're going to do the month and time. This one's all pretty solid. Like this top thing is pretty solid right here, I think. Down here, things are going to get a little tricky. And then we're going to say visibility, 10 statute miles. Cloud cover, we'll take OVC and we'll turn it into overcast clouds at 15,000 feet, etc. We'll just kind of turn it all into plain English. So by the time we're done, this thing will look pretty cool. Next week, this will look way cooler. And if we have the time next week, which we might, on our next show, we might, I don't know, grab some other weather data from Hillsboro itself. And maybe we'll just grab like a temperature and a forecast, and we'll kind of make this pretty and look neat, so that, you know, the whole point of this is so that we can learn Blazor together, learn the cool things about Blazor. But if you end up taking this code off of GitHub or something and putting on your site, you got some cool tools for your site. You know, if you want to do weather, you can build some little weather widgets, or if you want to build a What's My IP service, these are kind of cool little tools. But I am going to sign off of here, even though I'm having a blast. I've got other things that I need to do, and I need to let you all get back to your days. But for next week, Tuesday at the same time, I'm going to be back. Next week, we're going to do this. We're going to factor in precipitation. We're going to factor in multiple cloud reports, and we're going to grab all the remarks. Oh, Andre, I hope I'm saying that right. Thank you. And I'm going to put in here, we'll, into the chat room. We'll be back next Tuesday at the same time. All right, so I'm just sending that out to all the chat rooms, so we'll be back. So All Hands on Tech Live is a new show started by myself and David Neal. And David does his shows on Thursdays. I do mine on Tuesdays, 2 p.m. Eastern time. David's building an Electron app that's really cool. It's really awesome. He's a lot of fun to watch. So be sure to tune in on Thursday and check his stuff out. And follow us on Twitch, because this is where we're really going to focus a lot of these live streams. Right now, I'm going to YouTube, and I think that's it. I think I'm just going to Twitch and YouTube right now. But at some point, we may switch over to just doing Twitch exclusive stuff. So you'll want to follow us on Twitch. It's twitch.tv, Pluralsight Live. Show this Twitch TV, Pluralsight_live. And that is where you can see all of our streams all the time. We're also going to do things other than the live coding that David and I are doing. So David and I are both doing this live coding stuff. We're going to have fun with it. But we're also going to start getting people on here, interviewing some really cool people from tech that we admire and love, that you will admire and love. We're going to start broadcasting that on Twitch as well. So be sure to follow us on Twitch for all of the things. But in the meantime, we're going to try to